It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calagione. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening, whenever you're watching. Hope you're having a great day. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I like to go all the way to St. Simons to get a decent Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the new Title Bout Championship computer game. Check it out. Yes, we still have the old banner up on BillyCBoxing.com, but check out the game. You'll love it. It's the same game that Alex uses to do the simulations for our Blast from the Past segment. So make sure you check that out. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by, you guessed it, my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. It's available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy right now where you're watching or listening to the show. Just visit barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why I'm so adamant about getting Tom Molyneux's story out there. And if you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. And speaking of the book, I want to officially announce that Chalk Films, a production company located in England, has actually purchased the option to try and get my book on the big screen. So keep your fingers crossed. We're looking to get the book made into a movie. And I want to thank Darian Lee and Chalk Films for stepping up and getting the option to shop this around. So we're hoping to get a word on that pretty soon. So I'll keep you guys posted. So if you haven't gotten a copy of the book, now's the time to get it. So you can say, oh, well, you know, it said this in the book and the movie was like that and all this other stuff. So today's show, we are going to talk about should I call it a fight? The circus known as Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. We did do a Billy C get-together down in St. Simons on this event. We had a great time. I want to thank everybody who came for the couple of days and enjoyed their time with Sal and myself, along with former world champions Marlon Starling, Ray Mercer, and Bobby Ches. We also had some fun with all of the viewers and listeners. As promised, I gave away several copies of my book. And I want to give a special shout out to my man Stephen Barr, who flew in from Washington. And he's from England originally, and we had a great time. He kept busting his son's chops by sending photos of him hanging out with the guys. It was a great time, and we're going to have Steve on in the near future to tell you guys what it's like to come on down to one of our events, very close up and personal. And by the way, we did show the boxing, Billy C's Boxing Revisited episode, so we were happy about that. But I do want to talk about the fight, final thoughts on the fight, and quite honestly, there's no reason to discuss Floyd Mayweather much anymore unless he does something related to boxing. I think the fight said it all, in my opinion. Bottom line is, if you want to give Floyd Mayweather credit for fighting a guy that never laced on a pair of gloves, a guy that obviously knew nothing about boxing, then so be it. I personally don't give him much credit for it. I thought that Floyd looked good compared to, based on who he fought. Conor McGregor, if he knew anything about boxing, first of all, Conor McGregor seemed to have no pop behind his punches. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he's got to jump on him early for the knockout." I saw no knockout power in Conor McGregor. I saw no defense, zero defense. I saw, no footwork. I mean, all these things equal. He was not a boxer, And Floyd Mayweather did exactly what I said. Everybody asked me what my prediction was, and I predict 10th round stoppage, and the fight ended in a 10th round. To gauge where these guys are at this point, well, the bottom line is Conor McGregor's an MMA fighter. Floyd Mayweather is an old boxer. And I'll tell you right now, and we'll get into it a little deeper, but I'll tell you right now, Floyd better stay retired, because if he should fight a real fight, and he hasn't fought a real fight, really go all the way back a long time. I guess you give him credit for the Pacquiao fight. But Andre Berto, that was a joke fight, and obviously this fight was a joke fight. But remember, if Floyd Mayweather had the balls to step in the ring and fight a Keith Thurman or an Errol Spence Jr. Or even a Sean Porter or a Kell Brook, he would get knocked the F out. Conor McGregor nailed him at will with the jab. I was shocked to see that Floyd didn't have an answer for it. Maybe it was the southpaw. I don't know. But true to form, Floyd fought smart. He let Conor McGregor tire himself out, then got that long waited for knockout, which, what are you going to say? But joining me right now to give us his thoughts real quickly as we get deep into this, and then we move on to the real fight. The real fight is Triple G versus Canelo. But joining me right now from St. Simons is my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. Sal, hey, is it good to be back or what?
It's good to be back, Bill. It's good to be back. I'll tell you, we had a great time, though. I loved it. I think we had everybody, they're still talking about it. And, last night in the restaurant, that's all we heard was revive as far as, wow, you guys had a great weekend. And, things we post on Facebook or this media, social media, whatever else. I don't even know how to work anything else but Facebook. Is pretty much, it says it all. The island was electrified by the presence of you and the boxers, myself, and what we did. We were the only one to show that fight on the entire island. That's why we had to cram in there like a tight pair of penny loafers.
As far as the fight itself, Sal, what were your thoughts on it? I mean, while we watched it live, I mean, after the first of all, I want to say this. As far as the fan base, and they're projecting huge numbers, pay-per-view buys. I don't know if they're going to count. Apparently, there was a lot of people that tried to buy it on the stream and didn't get it. So I don't know if they're going to count that as a buy or what. But I will say this. From what I saw, and Sal, you agree or disagree, from what I saw, the majority of the people that watched this fight and bought this fight were McGregor fans. I mean, if anybody gets a pat on the back for the draw here, it's McGregor. I'm not so sure people that bought it for Mayweather were buying it to watch Mayweather win. They were probably watching it to see him lose. I mean, any boxing fan that I've talked to knew that this was not going to be a competitive fight. But with that said, at the end of the 6th round, I was scoring it up to that point. And at the end of the 6th round, I had the fight even, 3 rounds apiece. And then it was all Floyd. What was your thoughts on the fan base, like who was rooting for who? And how did you see it going into, the 6th, 7th round?
I think you and I must have seen the same fight because I agree. And I'll tell you what, Bill, the majority of the fans that I read were MMA fight fans. And as you said, I think the true boxing enthusiast or fan or knowledgeable fight fan May have wanted to see a different turnout with the Floyd Mayweather fight there, but all in all, I think yes, it was a pro MMA fight crowd. And when I purchased when I bought it for the pizzeria, and I said, well, how are sales going? And I was told by the entities that that this is going to exceed the Pacquiao Mayweather fight. And I said, really? Because I didn't read that. He said, no, we're getting purchases now, and we're right on track, and we think this is going to exceed the numbers we did for Mayweather Pacquiao. So maybe they did. Maybe they knew something we didn't know. Maybe there was, like I said, the closet fight fans that really didn't want to buy it, but last minute snapped it and bought it. And also, I think, as we anticipated, this was a huge shot in the arm for MMA. And MMA had everything to win about this fight, more so than boxing had to lose. And as far as the fight goes, Billy, I called it exactly. I couldn't have tailored it exactly for the fact that if it ended in the 8th round, that was my number. You called it exactly as it read. It wound up being the 10th round. But there was no surprises, nothing there. And I will tell you this. Yes, McGregor, as I always said, going into this fight, he had the first 3 rounds to make or break and take Mayweather out. If it went past 3, boom, and it was all Mayweather, and that's exactly what happened.
Take him out. The funny thing about it was take him out. I mean, we all thought that this guy had some kind of punching power. The way everybody was talking about it. I don't follow MMA. I've seen clips of his knockouts. Generally, they, whether it's a punch followed by a kick to the head or whatever. But this guy showed us no pop, Sal. I mean, he was, no disrespect to female fighters, but, the old saying, he was punching like a girl. They were all arm punches. Never did he hurt Floyd. I mean, Floyd is not this superstar guy. He's really not. The truth of the matter is, Floyd has to get credit for maneuvering his career as successful as he did financially. But as far as fighting in these knockout, drag-out, memorable fights, never. You can't even remember. People will probably remember this fight because of the significance of the crossover appeal. And speaking of which, you mentioned about MMA, that it was a win for MMA, or it should have been a win. Listen, talking to the MMA fans really showed me the ignorance of the MMA fan when it comes to boxing. These guys, they all loved McGregor, and they thought that he had a shot. They really legitimately thought, considering all the money that was bet on McGregor. I mean, granted, it was decent odds, but this guy never had a shot. The joke of this fight, Coach in the chat room said it years ago about the sport and specifically about this fight. It was WWE. Everything seemed, as the smoke cleared and a couple of days have gone by, everything seemed choreographed in this fight, Sal. From the beginning, from the press conferences through the fight itself, it just seemed choreographed. And oh, by the way, Floyd Mayweather tried to put a bet on himself in Vegas for a 10th round stoppage, and they wouldn't let him. The bookmakers wouldn't let him in the sports book, I should say, wouldn't let him in Vegas. What does that tell you? If Floyd Mayweather was about to put, I mean, come on. Listen, I just want to say that I think that this fight was 100% fabricated and choreographed. Never once was anybody hurt. And quite honestly, in this fight, the MMA fans are all pissed off today, on yesterday, whatever, saying, oh, the fight shouldn't have been stopped. He didn't even get knocked down. Well, he was done. What did you want to do, kill him? And by the way, the commission suspended him for 2 months, 60 days suspension. I mean, the whole thing was a circus. It really was, and I'm glad it's over. What do we get out of it? I don't know what we get out of it. I don't know what we see after it's done. Yes, it was a WWE event. It was a WrestleMania type of event. Yes, it did well financially. But what did we get out of it? Are more MMA fans going to try to make that crossover? Is Floyd Mayweather, did he cement a legacy by winning that fight? The 50th win is not significant for any weight class but the heavyweights. Boxing fans know that, but the majority of the people don't. I mean, what did we gain by this fight, Sal?
Well, we were sold. We were sold a bill of goods. I'm telling you, this was a facade. I call it a farce from the beginning. And I'll tell you, what was the significant value? Yes, I think now, you know, this fight may have opened up some floodgates, and we're going to see more crossovers between MMA and boxing, and they'll try and bill it. And guess what? As soon as they fizzle and fade after the initial shock appeal, it's gonna say, why bother? MMA is comfortable in its own arena, and they should stay there. And boxing, we don't have to change. We never evolved from the 100 and 200 years, 300 years that two men have put on gloves or castanets or bare knuckles, and that's basically it. That's the only evolution in boxing is what they're going to put on their hands. So I think that I think everybody is going to be safe and wake up, and it's going to be another new day, and we'll talk about the real fights such as the Canelo Alvarez Triple G, and this will soon be something of the past, and it'll be brought up in the history books with the asterisks and all that, saying, well, it was the first fight for Conor McGregor. But let me tell you something, Bill. You hit it right on the head. This guy, and not taking away or being a sexist or saying he didn't even punch like a girl. I mean, this guy couldn't even punch. Mayweather knew this. Mayweather knew this going in. And I'm telling you, that's why he read this tea leaves perfectly. Because what happened was this guy hit. He was on his toes. He didn't sit on any punches. I didn't see any ferocity in his power or any intensity that I'm the big bad man. I'm going to knock this guy right out into left field. No, there was nothing like that. He threw little arm punches, and he was definitely hitting him with the jab. That was his best bet. But the first 3 rounds, like I said, he scored. He did his thing, and Mayweather did his thing. He said, "I'm assessing what I'm in with, and I'm in with a guy that's not going to be able to hurt me. So I'm going to stay in the pocket. He can't hit me, and the only thing I'm tasting is his jab." And Mayweather did just that. And like I said, this guy, I didn't see any of the bill, any of the hype, any of what he is as far as even his. I mean, have some intensity, passion, power. I couldn't see any of it. It was all arm punches. I couldn't believe it.
Hey, Sal, we lost your video, so I don't know what you did over there, but you knocked your video out. But it's there you go.
I knocked the video out.
Yeah.
I was yelling so much. The little arrow was on the video from when I turned it on, and I guess it just hit automatically.
The as far as the fight itself. It was Mayweather turned his back on McGregor a couple of times.
I don't know about that.
And McGregor was hitting behind the head, which he should have maybe even got a point deducted. But I tell you what, based on the rules, and then we're going to take a short break and come back. But based on the rules of boxing, if you turn your back on somebody, that could be counted as one of two things. And I'll leave you with this thought when we take a break here. Number one, it could be taken as the fighter does not want to fight anymore, and he's quitting.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Or number two, and the referee has to make a judgment, has to say, hey, are you quitting? Are you stopping? What are you doing? Or it could count as a knockdown. And neither took place, and referee Bird dropped the ball there. Yes, Floyd was turning his back. Now, was he doing it to try to get Conor McGregor to hit him behind the head? I don't know. But nonetheless, it was turning his back. Now, apparently, the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the spineless, gutless piece of garbage, Bob Bennett, didn't really apply any of the rules to the sport of boxing for this fight. Yeah. I mean, he approved the fight, first of all, which was a joke. But the truth be told, that if you turn your back on someone, you could be basically the fight stopped. It's an indication that you don't want to fight. Hold that thought.
It's like a no mas.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll finish talking about that. We got some emails. We're going to open up. We're going to get Dax Khan to come on, and we may even get the infamous Jeremy C., who boldly predicted Conor McGregor was going to win. So we do have to get him on so we can, beat him up a little bit. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C. will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604. Listen.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you guys could be with us today. And before we went to break, we were talking about the fight itself. Mayweather-McGregor. Most MMA fans really thought McGregor had a chance. He clearly did not have a chance. And a lot of sad people. A lot of MMA fans were sad. But hopefully this will be the real end of Floyd Mayweather, because I tell you what, when Floyd Mayweather is so-called retired, the sport of boxing does very well. And we got a great fight coming up in a couple of weeks, Triple G against Canelo. It's a real fight, a significant fight. Two of the top fighters in the world facing each other. Even though one is 35, you could arguably say they're both still in their prime. This is what the real sport of boxing is all about, the fight, the best fighting the best. Something Floyd Mayweather has not done in a decade. So let's kick him to the curb, let him focus on his promotion company, and let's move on with the sport. And speaking of his promotional company, there were some other fights on that card I want to touch on real quick. Gervonta Davis, a guy that, definitely possesses talent. I love this kid, except for one thing. He's with Floyd Mayweather. And what I start to see is the same type of let me take you under my wing kind of stuff that Floyd did with Adrian Broner. We all saw how that turned out. And I predicted, and Sal, you could be the judge on this. I leaned over and said to you while we were down doing our event, I said, the same thing's going to happen to this kid that happened to Adrian Broner. He misses weight. First of all, he fights, he gets his, basically his career handed to him. He gets a world title shot. He wins the title. You would think that he would have a successful title defense, especially against a layup type of a fight. And instead, he misses weight, loses his title, and then struggles in this fight, huffing and puffing, until they finally stop the fight. No, it was not a hit behind the head. His opponent, Francesco was spent. He didn't want to fight anymore. Nonetheless, Davis does not have a title anymore. However, he improved to 19-0 with 18 knockouts. Francesca drops his first fight. He's 19-1-1. What was your thoughts on that fight? I know you're a stickler about discipline, and Davis showed us he got none.
Let me tell you something. We said this right before, and you knew my reaction. I was going to go off, and I did. How can you be so irresponsible? You're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to step on a scale and make weight. Be disciplined. Like I said, for my 14th birthday, my father bought me a medical scale. I never missed a weight. And I brought, I would balance a little foot scale to that scale everywhere I went. And I would travel with that scale, and I never missed a weight. Okay, so you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you got to make weight. How bad is it that a professional fighter that is doing this for a living cannot do what the job describes, and that's make weight? There's no room for that, Bill. No room whatsoever. So you know what? He fought hard. He gained the title, and guess what? Take it away from him, and I changed my whole opinion of Gervonta Davis. I liked him, but you know what? Right now, I don't care. And I don't know. He was in a fight with that guy, and that guy just quit. That guy had a good chance of winning. He was holding his own. He was hitting Davis and catching him at will at times, and it was a close fight. And then all of a sudden, I saw, Bill, that the guy got caught with a body shot. And I think that just threw him all off. And then he turned around, he did a little cowling like, hey, I don't want to fight anymore. Forget about it. I'm going to quit. That's what he did. He quit. Okay, I'm done.
The truth of the matter was that he got hit like he was trying to, get a DQ out of the deal, but he didn't even get hit in the back of the head. He got hit kind of in between his shoulders, like. It
wasn't a rabbit punch.
No,
you just said, he got hit. That wouldn't hurt. Believe me, I've got hit behind the head, and you might see a star or two, and you might get a momentary ouch, or like whatever, but you don't know. You don't. Oh my mom! Oh, you can't. Forget about it. Can't go. Get out of here. You know what? I don't want to go there. I'm sorry. Now you get me all wound up. It's not even a coffee. I'm just on my second cup.
Well, on the rest of that card, in the fight that I thought would be the best fight of the night, really, I tell you, the real star of Mayweather Promotions is Badou Jack. I mean, he improved to 21 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws when he moved up in weight and challenged Nathan Cleverly for his WBA World Light Heavyweight title and won. Cleverly loses for the 4th time, 30 wins, 4 losses with 16 knockouts. Round 5 is when it ended, 2 minutes and 47 seconds when Badou Jack put an end to it. This guy's the real deal. This is a guy that moved up the ladder, was in a fight, did not look good, got knocked out. People wrote him off, including Team Mayweather. But yet, since then, he has gotten better and better and better. He's fought top-level opposition. Badou Jack is the real deal, and I think is the best fighter that's currently signed under Mayweather Promotions. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think he did it very cleverly. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. Yeah, he just what you said, Billy, not to agree to disagree, I tell you, Badou Jack proved me wrong. I thought he was also on a downslide, and but he rose the occasion. He did what he had to do, and he came out to win, and he did just that. And no, I like him. He's back on top, and I think he'll do very well. I think he'll fare against most of the opposition he faces, and we'll see what goes on. But yeah, I'm still wound up from the Gervonta Davis and the Mayweather stuff. And could I add, because I know we're going to put him in a drawer soon to not talk about him for a long time, Mayweather. But for all those fans, and I have a lot of my staff that are very, very upset. They thought the fight was stopped too soon. Let me tell you another thing. What does the referee say in part of the instructions when 2 fighters are in the middle of the ring and he's giving you instructions before the first bell rings? Defend yourself at all times. And for those fans that thought it was stopped too soon, Conor McGregor couldn't defend himself at any time in that last round. He was getting hit with a barrage of punches at will. And, guys, it only takes one punch to shatter that little glass of a brain in your head. And so I think that was called properly. And, I had a very, very much a very upset staff. Justin, my pie guy, right? One of my guys.
Yeah, he cleaned up that night, brother.
Bill, he won almost $1,000. But little did I know. Let me tell you something. Justin took me aside 3 weeks ago. He said, "Sal, I'm going to ask your opinion." And he didn't tell me who he's betting. He said, I got a little money. I want to bet. Who should I bet on? Should I bet on Mayweather or should I bet on McGregor? I said, I told him exactly what I've been saying for the last month. I said, you could bet the bank on Mayweather. Unless the fix is on. No, Mayweather is going to win this fight, and he's going to knock him out. It's probably not going to go past 8 rounds. Billy, you called it. I explained exactly why, and what I explained was exactly what we saw, why and how he's going to win. So I didn't know he bet my whole entire staff. He bet my cook Josh. He bet another pie guy Anthony. He bet Heather. He bet this one. He bet some of the guys across at Delaney's. This guy walked away with $1,000 that night, and I felt bad because I guess I was partly influential with his decision on who to bet on. Happy birthday, Justin.
Well, I mean, yeah, he made out well. They're talking about, we got people in the Facebook. We are simulcasting on Facebook. If you want to see the real version of this show, flip over to our YouTube page. The same television version that we send out to the networks is up there. But, they're throwing in the 50-win thing. Chavez went 80-0 before losing his first fight. Sugar Ray Robinson went 60-0. The list goes on and on and on. The truth of the matter is that the 49-0 record was only significant for the heavyweights. No heavyweight has come, to 49-0. Larry Holmes came the closest at 48-0 before losing to Michael Spinks.
Right.
Before losing to Mike Spinks. So I mean, that's the only significance for the 49-0. But once again, Floyd Mayweather, a master at bamboozling his fan base. But let's move forward. Miguel Cotto also fought that night in an exciting fight. Yes, he didn't fight a world beater in Kamagagi, but unlike Floyd Mayweather and any of Floyd Mayweather's fights, Miguel Cotto is an exciting fighter in all of his fights. A throwback fighter in a sense. Miguel Cotto improved to 41 wins, 5 losses with 33 knockouts when he stopped Yoshiro Kamagagi in that fight. He didn't. It was basically a decision. I'm sorry. I thought that for some reason he beat him up so bad it should have been a stoppage. But nonetheless, Cotto picked up a title, which I thought was kind of BS. But another big fight that took place while Weaves was away, Sergey Deverenchenko. Johnson is a tough guy, so that's what took place while we were away. One thing I want to mention, you know how in the sport of boxing, we then a slug fest. For boxing purists, the real show comes next month when Canelo and Triple G square off. Don't know who those guys are? Well, you should. And you know what? For a magazine that covers all sports, I think that puts it in perspective. And Mr. Bishop hit it right on the head, Sal. The big fight coming up between Triple G and Canelo is a real fight. It's a significant fight. It's showing two fighters that are both presumably still in their prime. I know Canelo is fighting each other, something Floyd hasn't done in a decade. So I'm looking forward to that one in a couple of weeks, my man.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm so excited about that fight, Bill. And, I'll tell you, I might keep that big TV just for a last-minute thing, but I know it's going to be very expensive. We'll see. Hey, how'd you like the setup? That TV worked out to be a pretty good thing, didn't it? The way we did it?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I don't know how other, people got a little testy when somebody stood up to cheer. I liked one more at the other end would have been better. But hey, listen, let's take a short break. When I come back, I got some emails to read. We're going to open up. We're going to have Dax come on in about a half hour, and it looks like Jeremy C. Ran off and hid somewhere. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and three-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity,
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And just a reminder for anyone that's watching our Facebook stream or whatever we're calling it, it's we did promise a better camera feed by the time we came back, but didn't get a chance to change it. But listen, if you want the full version of the show, the full multi-camera shot and everything else that goes with it, check us out. You can watch it on the front page of BillyCBoxing.com or just go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkin, TALKIN, boxing, BOXING. And you can get that, or just stay right where you are on Facebook. We don't, doesn't bother us. But Sal, I got some emails to read. You ready?
I like this. Yes, let's do it.
First one is from my man Jesse. He says, "Hey Billy C, welcome, and Sal, welcome back. I did forgot the important part for you, Sal. Hey Billy C and
Thank you
Sal.
very much. I felt neglected.
He says, yeah, sort of like.
Thank you very much.
Sort of like what you did to me in St. Simon's, but whatever. He says, I did
and
see
Billy C.
Yeah. He's here
and
too.
Billy C. The N was the powerful.
He says, I did see the Conor versus Floyd event, and I thought it was okay. I hear people saying Conor got tired, but he can't take a punch either. He's not a boxer. A boxer takes punches and comes back with his own. He was basically trying to counter Floyd early with that uppercut, and he barely grazed Floyd's chin. I wonder what would have happened if he landed it. How do you see Conor's countering and timing in boxing? Before I move on, I will say this. If Conor McGregor knew anything about boxing, and if his corner knew anything about boxing, they would have switched gears after the third round and said, hey, listen, Floyd Mayweather, which, is a guy that many people think is the best ever, which is a joke. He had no answer for Conor McGregor's jab. Conor McGregor's jab, whether because it was coming from a southpaw or whatever, was nailing Floyd at will. Now, they weren't hurting Floyd, but in case you guys all forgot, that's how you win a fight on a scorecard. Just ask Paulie Malignaggi. And if Conor McGregor was smart, he would have, changed his game plan to do that all night long, and maybe, just maybe, would have squeaked out a win. But he had no power. Everybody, we all, including myself, we all thought that this guy had some pop, and that he would, all he had to do is go in and attack Floyd. And when he did, he didn't even hurt Floyd. Floyd laughed. And it's a joke.
Laughed.
Yeah, we all laughed. Everybody's laughing. But, Floyd and Conor, they're laughing too.
To the bank.
They laughed all the way to the bank. So, anyway, Jesse said it appears Floyd needs to retire. He looked slow and just didn't seem to counter when Conor missed. Right now, he would get beat by Thurman, Mikey, Garcia, Spence, Canelo, etc. He doesn't look interested in boxing anymore. Is there an age where boxers should leave boxing? I think boxers should stop at 35 and up. Bodies just age rapidly overnight. Boxers by that age have nothing to prove to the young guys. Young guys are just full of energy and hungry like Mikey, Spence, and Canelo. Let these young guys fight each other. Listen, Floyd Mayweather recognized that, and that's why he cherry-picked for the last 10 years of his career. I agree with you, Jesse. I don't see him beating any of the names you mentioned. And Floyd knows that too. You could say what you want. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Floyd Mayweather, but he was smart. He did what he had to do. He bamboozled his fans, took you guys for every cent that you had and you were willing to pay. And the bottom line is he's walking away a rich man, and didn't have to really fight anybody to get in that spot, at least for the last decade. He says Ugas and Delorme was entertaining, and Borogo, in my eyes, beat Juan. Davis is starting to get too arrogant and egotistical. Yeah, the Ugas and Delorme fight was a good fight. I mean, man, Ugas had gone down twice in that fight, but came back to win. I definitely like that. That was the one that kicked off the whole night, Sal, and up until we saw the performance by Jack, no fight lived up to that one. What do you think?
Well, no, I agree. I agree with you right there, and it was a good, exciting fight, and some of the fights were stale and just going through the motion and everything else. But no, I tend to. Well, I saw the same fights you did, and that's why I'm agreeing with you.
Also, we got another email. This one's from my man Jeff from Pennsylvania. He's got actually two here. One, he says, I enjoyed the Mayweather-Mack event, and I'm under no illusion that Conor would have won. Even my wife realized that Conor was not holding his hands up high enough for defense. But hey, he was far from terrible in attempting this unusual feat. Certainly Conor let his instincts come into play with the hammer fist, but hey, Mayweather also made use of his elbows and in the clinch many times. He did. Not once was he warned, and he was using his elbows a lot. He says, now to the main point of this email, it seems recently I'm noticing more and more boxers turning their backs to the opponent. You corrected me when I wrote that protecting yourself at all times did not mean once the bell sounded. Why then a boxer turns his back is the opponent told not to hit him? Maybe it's time to call a knockdown when a boxer turns his back. What's your thoughts? I'm interested. Well, Jeff, the truth of the matter is a boxer's not allowed to turn his back. If a boxer turns his back on a fight, you're not supposed to yell at the other fighter not to hit him. A boxer turning his back should be giving the referee an indication that he no longer wants a fight. I mentioned this earlier in the show that when Floyd Mayweather did this, referee Bird should have warned him, should have stopped the action and asked him, "Are you quitting?" And warned him not to turn his back. He didn't do that. He could have also called it a knockdown. He didn't do that. Floyd gets too many special passes, and I'm just glad he's gone. Hopefully he's gone. But you are 100% right. You are not allowed to turn your back on a fighter. This is an indication to a referee that you no longer want to fight anymore. And I thought Bird did the wrong thing by not even mentioning that. And Floyd did that many times throughout the fight, not just once. He says, maybe it's time to call a knockdown when a back. Yeah, I
agree with him.
He says, I listened to the Sugar Ray crew, and they were very good. Surprisingly, I still don't believe this event should count on Floyd's record, but that's my opinion. I wish I could have been down there with you guys. I'm sure it was a great time. Now the real deal, a true risk fight, Triple G against Canelo. Hey, Jeff, we wish you would have been down there with us. You missed a great time. Keep your eyes and ears open for our next event. We are going to be doing another one sooner than later. There's no way in hell that the McGregor-Mayweather fight should have counted as Floyd's 50th win as a legitimate fight. Bob Bennett of the Nevada State Athletic Commission was a clown and a spineless piece of garbage by approving that fight. I have no problem with this fight as an exhibition fight. As a matter of fact, I think that's what it was, a WWE-type exhibition. Should have never counted as a real fight. Who, in their right mind, would put a 49-0 guy, clearly a future Hall of Famer in Floyd Mayweather, against a pro debut fighter? And let me tell you something. This guy demonstrated that he was not a fighter, fought like a pro debut, and the sad part is he went 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. So Jeff goes on to say, did you hear the back and forth between Teddy Atlas and Stephen A. Smith after the Mayweather-McGregor fight? These guys are so desperate and hungry for airtime to the point of screaming at each other. Teddy knows his stuff, but as you like to say, believes only his opinion could possibly be correct. Stephen A. Smith is just clueless, a name dropper. He just wants everyone to think he's Floyd's best friend. It's all getting very hard to listen to. This is why I love when you guys do your post-fight shows. Yeah, we apologize we didn't do a post-fight show after this, but rest assured we are doing one for Triple G Canelo. And I agree with my man Jeff. Thanks for the emails, Jeff. Sal, on this. Stephen A. Smith doesn't know anything about boxing. It's sad to see that he's even included in it. He's just a loudmouth. And Teddy Atlas, although I agree with Jeff 100%, this is a guy that knows the sport. You can't deny that. But the part that I don't like about him is it's either Teddy's opinion is the right way and everyone else is wrong. What's your thoughts?
Well, as you would say, I knew Teddy Atlas in his young days with Victor Valley and Gleason's Gym, training Cooney, Billy Costello, and all these guys. And he is a knowledgeable guy. He's been around the fight game for the majority of his life. And he's seen the corners. He's seen what happens. He knows the fight game. But to, just isolate and be considered that whatever comes out of his mouth is gospel is arrogant and a little bit shortcoming. And I think that there's always room for debate. There's always room that another opinion is suggested and offered, and it should be panned out and vetted and see which makes sense. It's like, am I going to give a plug if I say Fox News? Would they report it? You decide. That kind of stuff. Tell the whole story, the Paul Harvey story. We have to see from different eyes, different set of eyes, and different opinions, and let the fans judge and take from each commentator what they feel is credible, what they feel is what they saw. I expanded that answer.
No, I listen. I agree. Here's an email. This one's from my man Coach, who's very visible in our chat room, and sometimes. Doesn't give us. I
wish he was visible down here. He missed a great weekend, Coach.
Coach says, "Hey Billy C, like the Enron scam, and remember in the Bertie Madoff deal, the Mayweather McGregor Marciano record fraud is finally over. My thoughts: while both Mayweather and McGregor are laughing all the way to the bank, I think McGregor should get an ESPY, Emmy, or even an Academy Award for his performance before and during the fight, with Floyd getting the award for Best Supporting Actor. I just hope boxing fans have seen the light and will remember the Who song and won't get fooled again." You know what? We even got people in the Facebook chat room saying that when boxers, if they can still speak correctly, they'll do away with guys like me and doing this show so they could tell people the truth. My question is, what's the truth? That we didn't get fooled? I agree with Coach. Listen, the true sport of boxing is to prove you're the best. You fight real fights, not what Floyd did for the last 10 years. That's my thoughts. What do you think?
Well, I don't have to judge or even like Floyd as a person, but I will tell you this, Bill. He's a skillful fighter. He's a defensive fighter. And, yes, he also choreographed the last several years of his career to be positioned in a place where he is now going to be considered, maybe not by you or by me, but by many, as one of the greatest on some level. He did a stellar chess game, and he put himself in a position to win at all costs. And I think that, I will give him credit for that. And he is a magnificent manager for himself. And he positioned himself with the leverage at all times. And that's why he is where he is. And that's why we're talking about him. And I cannot deny that. And so I will give him that credit every day. And this fight, I'll tell you what, it was one of his. He said he was going to stay in the pocket and punch. And I'll be darned, that's exactly what he did, because he had nothing to fear from McGregor. Those little candy punches were not going to hurt him. And he did what he said he was going to do. And it was a little toe-to-toe, a little sidestep, a little here and there. So I give him credit. It shouldn't have been a sanctioned fight to begin with. It was an exhibition in my mind, because that's what I saw. It was an exhibition. They both had their own skill set, but it was not to be blended together as everyone had hoped it to be.
The truth of the matter is that if Floyd Mayweather fought the way he fought McGregor, most of his career, he would have had memorable fights. He would have treated his fan base to some quality fight. I personally don't think we ever saw the best Floyd Mayweather because of his desire to not engage. And you could say, well, he was trying to be safe. He was thinking about his life afterwards, blah, 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 which is all fine and good. But don't pound your chest and say you're the best and you would have been. You didn't need to fight like that because you were so much better. That's all BS. And I agree. Yes, he did fight in the pocket, and the reason is he had no fear of being hit. And once he felt that first punch that had no power behind it, he just was laughing to himself all the way to
bring it on.
I mean, Marcos Maidana hit him with some power punches, and obviously even Andre Berto, who was a shot fighter when he fought. I mean, these guys at least connected with some force. McGregor, my granddaughter can hit harder than him, really. But anyway, we got one more email. This one's from your man Raheem, and Raheem says, "Morning, Billy C and Sal." Raheem here. He says, "I was impressed by McGregor and his ability to do what he could against Mayweather. He did great, and our night fight." Or maybe you're dyslexic. He says, "Our fight night was fun. We had both MMA and boxing fans together, and it was worth the money. Mayweather breaking Marciano's record was historic, and we saw it all happen. Mayweather saved boxing again, and he will be missed." You know, Raheem, first of all, let me just say this, Raheem. You know, I wish you would, consult with your dad before you write emails, because you are so off base. First of all, Floyd Mayweather did not save boxing. Floyd Mayweather, as a matter of fact, ruined boxing, in my opinion. When he's not in the sport does well. We have fighters fighting each other that are supposed to fight. Floyd, because of his success, people want to copy him and cherry pick and do all the things he did. So that was a negative on boxing. That's number one. Number two, Floyd Mayweather, as far as the Marciano record, you know, how many times we got to say it? Yeah, okay, Floyd is successful at marketing it and bamboozling all you young, ignorant fans that don't know the history. But the only significance behind 49-0 is for the heavyweights. No heavyweight has made 49-0. No heavyweight even passed it and then lost. No heavyweight ever made it to 49-0. Marciano did and retired. That's the record. That's the relevance of that. You know, you have Larry Holmes making it to 48-0 before losing his first time. Many, many fighters surpassed 50-0 before losing their first fight. So please, don't give Floyd credit for getting to 50-0. It means nothing in any weight division but the heavyweight division. You want to give Floyd credit for retiring with a nice, big, healthy-looking number at 50-0? Great. He deserves it. You want to give him credit for making the money that he made? Great. He deserves it. You want to give him credit for manipulating his fans and guiding his career with the least amount of risk for the maximum amount of reward? Great. He deserves that credit. But please, don't put him in the same category as great fighters who challenged themselves fight after fight after fight and wanted to prove themselves. Stanley Ketchel, a world middleweight champion, challenging himself to fight Jack Johnson, the heavyweight champion, the fighter who was deemed unbeatable during his era. That's trying to challenge yourself. He came up short. You know, even Sugar Ray Leonard coming out of retirement and fighting a guy who controlled the middleweight division for 10 years, almost 10 years in Marvin Hagler. That's challenging yourself. That's coming out and proving that you're the best. You know, not cherry picking a guy who never laced on a pair of boxing gloves before. That's not a great task. I'm sorry. It's just not. Sal, final thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we get Coach or one of these statisticians out there to list every fighter that surpassed 50-0 before they had their first defeat. And I'm sure we'd come up with at least a half a dozen or a dozen. And let me ask you this. Who was Larry Holmes' 49th opponent?
Michael Spinks.
I'm just saying, a real fighter in his prime, who he lost to for the heavyweight championship of the world. Thank you very much. It was a significant fight. It was a fighter that was coming up, challenging for the heavyweight championship, and exactly that. Larry Holmes never ducked anybody. Muhammad Ali never ducked anybody. George Foreman never ducked anybody. Joe Frazier never ducked anybody. That was the heavyweight mecca. These guys fought, and any one of those guys could have been champion today. And Kenny Norton never ducked anybody. The Ernie Shavers never ducked anybody. These guys were thunderous. These guys were the heavyweights. They had the most coveted belt in the world that they fought for. And this is what they put on the line. So I wish we could just put aside everything and let Rocky Marciano rest in peace with his 49-0 record as a heavyweight champion of the world. You know what? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the significance was only for heavyweights. But let me just add one thing. Speaking of heavyweights, Anthony Joshua. I've said many times, this guy is, talk about saving boxing. This is the guy who's saving the sport. As goes the heavyweight division, so goes boxing. We hear it all the time. Anthony Joshua, who beat Vladimir Klitschko, was waiting to determine if Vladimir Klitschko was going to get the rematch, already is going to most likely get stripped. Now, the WBA put up their world title for the Klitschko fight, and he beat Klitschko. So the IBF had stepped aside and worked with Anthony Joshua to let him fight Klitschko and not be stripped of his IBF title, even though Kubrat Pulev was the next mandatory title challenge. Well, Kubrat Pulev has waited 2 fights, and it seems like the next fight for Anthony Joshua will be against Kubrat Pulev. However, the WBA is threatening to strip him, and Anthony Joshua has 5 days left in order to say that he's going to fight Luis Ortiz, who the WBA has made the mandatory challenger. Otherwise, the WBA claims that they're going to strip Anthony Joshua. He was notified, and he's got less than 5 days to go. Now, as far as Luis Ortiz, the WBC has made him the mandatory for Deontay Wilder. He has not agreed to fight Deontay Wilder yet, but they were waiting for the WBA. The bottom line is this. It would be a sad day in the sport of boxing, specifically in the heavyweight division, if the WBA decides to strip Anthony Joshua for not fighting Luis Ortiz right now. I mean, let's be real. I think that the WBA, the IBF, the WBC, and the WBO all would benefit from Anthony Joshua holding their titles, or at least having their champions fight Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua beat Vladimir Klitschko to grab the WBA title, and he should be allowed some more time to successfully live up to his obligations with the IBF and then shift gears to the WBA, which would mean a Kubrat Pulev fight first and then fighting the WBA mandatory and Luis Ortiz next. Now, if Luis Ortiz wants to, in the meantime, fight Deontay Wilder like his team is suggesting, that's even better, because the winner of that fight could fight the winner of Kubrat Pulev and Anthony Joshua. But if the WBA decides to strip Anthony Joshua, that's ridiculous. It's the same thing that just happened to Terrence Crawford. He gave up his belt yesterday because the IBF was going to strip him because they were making him fight Sergey Lipinets. And, I mean, the sanctioning bodies, we blame the fighters for ducking this one and ducking that, but the sanctioning bodies have more in play than anyone else. They're the ones that are responsible for all these titleists, and it's called greed is the root of that. What's your thoughts, Sal?
Bill, thank you. I'll expand on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, because my Rip Van Winkle syndrome, when I went to sleep for 25 years, I used to understand and believe the rules of engagement and by these sanctioning bodies that you could pretty much fight any ranked fighter or anybody outside for a non-title fight, whatever you want to do. But every 6 months, you do have to defend your title against the number 1 ranked contender. Is that still what they do, correct?
They're supposed to.
Well, they're supposed to. So on that basis, I could understand how these guys are forcing that issue. And it's amazing how the common denominator is coming up Luis Ortiz, because he's a very dangerous fighter for either guy. And I think that, it is what it is. I think he could forfeit the WBA or WBC belt if he wants to fight whoever he wants, but the rules are the rules in a sense. I mean, if you got to defend a title against the number 1 ranked contender every 6 months, then damn, do it. I mean, you got the belt, you got to do it. It's not like it's a law that's changing. It's been around forever. That's why I said it, and I did it. I knew this rule as a kid growing up, so it's still the same rule. So if you knew you were going to fight for a belt, and your obligation is to defend that title belt that you were issued by the sanctioning body who calls you and recognizes you as their champion, well then darn it. every 6 months, know that you're going to have a title fight against the number one ranked contender who they have specified as their number one ranked contender. No, I see it's like not making weight on a scale. So, and if they want to forfeit and strip them the title, well, then just be it. That's fine. You know what? The rules are the rules in a sense. We can't lower the benchmark. So I'm going to say if the WBA or WBC wants to do that, they could do that. If Joshua wants to face Luis Ortiz and defend it and hold on to the belt, he could do that too. That's all I have to say.
The truth of the matter is that, the bottom line is certain fighters reach a plateau where they don't need the belts. Anthony Joshua's there. Floyd's there. Manny's there. I think that the sanctioning bodies need Anthony Joshua more than he needs them. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll get Dax Khan's thoughts on the circus known as McGregor Mayweather and the upcoming Triple G Canelo fight, which we're going to shift focus on for the rest of the week and leading up to it. So we got a long time to break that one down. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And speaking of being with us, joining Sal and myself right now is Dax Khan with his thoughts. Good morning, Dax.
Hey, how's everybody? You guys enjoy your vacation?
It wasn't much of a vacation, but hey, I see Sal's looking good there, taking his time. But what was your thoughts on the fight?
McGregor did better than expected. We'll never really know what Floyd allowed him to get away with and what he didn't. But he was getting caught early on. McGregor was looking good. Was that all just part of wanting to help give the fans their money's worth, whatever it may be? Nobody knows. I'm glad it's over. So, that fight went exactly how we thought. It went a little longer than what we thought it was going to be, and it's done. It's over with. It's time to move on to bigger and better things.
What do you think?
I'm sorry?
I said, what do you think? Who's moving on to bigger and better things? Not those
Boxing.
two. You mean, the sport. Yeah.
Boxing. It's time for boxing to move on for bigger and better things.
I agree. And we certainly have a bigger and better fight, a real fight coming up when we're talking about Triple G and Canelo. But before we jump to that, your thoughts on Badou Jack? You and I spoke last night a little bit, and this guy's the real deal, don't you think?
Badou Jack, let me tell you, 3 years ago yesterday, J. Leon Love lost to Porky Medina. That was about 6 months after Badou Jack lost to Derek Edwards up at the Turning Stone. I've said it here before, Badou Jack is the real deal, and he doesn't get the attention from Mayweather Promotions that he should. That night, anybody who ever watches that fight again, you notice that night on the apron who's standing directly across from Badou Jack. When Badou Jack got knocked out by Derek Edwards, I had just happened to turn away for a slight second to look at my phone. I look up, Badou Jack is on the canvas in front of me, getting counted. A couple seconds later, maybe 15 seconds later, Charlie Fitch is waving it off. It was a good stoppage, and first person Badou Jack looks at, and I have a picture of Badou Jack looking directly at me, not purposely, just happened to be one of those by accident type things, and he has his arms up, and he's like, what happened? He underestimated Derek Edwards, and he made a mistake. But you know what it is? That same night, Floyd Mayweather is waving $10,000, screaming to J. Leon Love, who's bleeding against Vladimir Biasi, telling him, if you stop him, you get a $10,000 bonus. And I have pictures and video of Floyd Mayweather throwing that money into the ring. They don't show that on the air. Actually, when you watch the event, it goes to a replay of the end of the fight. But since then, it's like Badou Jack, what really makes a guy a top fighter is how you come back. Badou Jack, not only did he become a world champion in one division a year later, but now he's a world champion in two divisions against credible guys both times. So Badou Jack, this is a guy who's getting better each outing. Is he the best in his division? No. Are there holes in Badou Jack's game? Absolutely. But you know what? The guy, as you stated, he's serious and he should be treated as so. And as of right now, so far, outside of Floyd Mayweather, Badou Jack is the most successful fighter to come out of the Mayweather stable.
I agree. I think that he is the best. I said it earlier. I think that Jack is the best guy currently signed under Mayweather Promotions. I was very disappointed in Gervonta Davis, his lack of discipline. I like Gervonta Davis. I think that he's got talent, but he showed me similarities to Adrian Broner, and it seems that when Floyd takes you, quote, under his wing, unquote, all he's doing is sending you down in a spiraling fashion downward. Gervonta Davis needs to straighten up because this kid is in a position to really do well. And, his first time out of the gate as a champion, loses his title on the scale. Plus, he was gassed in that fight. Dax, he was breathing hard. He's lucky that he landed a couple of shots, like Sal said earlier. A body shot started it, where he just, Fonseca decided that he had enough and tried to pull the old DQ card, which that wasn't even close to being an illegal punch. But it's a shame. We'll have to see how he rebounds from that.
Well, Gervonta Davis, we speak about Badou Jack and his loss. Gervonta Davis, the same thing. He thinks a lot more of himself than what he should at this point in time. There's a difference between being cocky and being self-assured, than feeling confident in yourself. He recently had turned down a fight against Vasyl Lomachenko, a unification fight, because he was looking for a bigger name, and I deserve a bigger name than somebody like Vasyl Lomachenko. You know what? In that division, that is the biggest name. This is also a guy who is arguably at number 3, the worst pound for pound in boxing. Now what's going to happen is Gervonta Davis is going to have to move up to 135 pounds. I don't believe he can make the super featherweight division anymore. You're not going to get away with that stuff with a lot of the guys that are there, especially with a Mikey Garcia, who's still the WBC champion in that division. As Gervonta Davis, in terms of his behavior, you come out looking like the Cookie Monster. You know, I can understand it's all part of the show. That's all great. But you know what the important thing is that, you know what, you go out there and you perform like a champion and you perform like a professional once you get in between that ropes. And Gervonta Davis didn't do that. He believes in himself a little bit too much. He thinks he can knock everybody out, and that's not the way it's going to happen. Once you get in there with a guy you can't knock out, then what do? You retired the other night against, No Hoper at 135 pounds. Even, to get near that top level, you're going to be fighting pound-for-pound guys or a very good veteran in terms of Jorge Linares. So, Gervonta Davis is he's like very much like Adrian Broner, but you know what? He doesn't have the credentials that Adrian Broner had when Broner started to be on the decline. So he's a poor man, Adrian Broner, if you want to put it that way.
That's a good point because Adrian Broner, as a lightweight, was pretty good, and he started to decline. But hey, Sal turns to me, Dax, during the walkout when Gervonta Davis comes out, and he looks at me and goes, "What the hell kind of outfit is he wearing?" I mean, Cookie Monster is a good description. I mean, he had the hat, the trunks. I mean, it looked like a chia pet,
like a henchman.
It was terrible, right, Sal? You were like, "What's he doing, man?"
I said, "What is that about?" I mean, come on, Oh man, I'll tell you, I had a Rip Van Winkle syndrome. I'm still asleep.
Dax, I was talking about the heavyweight picture, and I think Anthony Joshua is the best heavyweight in the world. What's your thoughts about the WBA trying to strong-arm him? I mean, obviously these sanctioning bodies don't want unifications, and that's bad for the sport.
Listen, Terrence Crawford, as we spoke the other day, it wasn't even 48 hours after he became the unified, undisputed champion at 140 pounds, and already the IBF is talking about stripping him. Why? Because every one of those sanctioning bodies had a different mandatory, and the IBF, the same ones that stripped Tyson Fury of their title because he wanted to give Vladimir Klitschko a rematch, a guy who was, champion for almost 10 years. They go and they do this to Crawford with the threats. Their mandatory is Sergey Lipnitz. How Sergey Lipnitz is the number one challenger at 140 pounds is beyond me. But, these sanctioning bodies know how to screw things up fast. Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev. Now, Pulev has been making this very difficult. Pulev himself had released a statement about a week and a half ago stating that, he really didn't agree to this fight. Sauerland Promotions had went into got things going without really discussing this with him. There was something about a weight issue. There was something about he wasn't happy with location. He wasn't happy with the purse. So, Pulev never exactly said, yes, I'm going to go in with this fight. As far as the WBA, there were so many talks and negotiations with Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, and then the winner there was supposed to go on and fight Anthony Joshua in some sort of unification and try and clean that division up. Now, here's the spoiler. Recently, last week, Derek Chisora was seen with Eddie Hearn. Derek Chisora has always been Eddie Hearn's go-to guy when things don't last. Now, what the rumor is that they had signed a loose agreement that Derek Chisora would step in and face Anthony Joshua if the winner of Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz was not willing to do the unification, and because the problem with Kubrat Pulev wasn't going to materialize and Pulev wasn't going to sign that contract, we always had Derek Chisora as the reserve. He is the go-to guy in the heavyweight division, even for the Klitschkos he was. So, that's a mess over there, and the sanctioning bodies really don't help it out. These are the guys that, it's all about, the revenue. How fast can we get it in? And that's exactly what I see here. The revenue isn't coming in quick enough. They're not getting a sanction fee quick enough. So, it's just easy to strip them. But as you said before, it's the fighter that makes the title. The sanctioning body needs the fighter more than the fighter needs the sanctioning body in this era. And that's exactly what we're seeing here with both Terrence Crawford and Anthony Joshua.
Well, in a sense, with the WBA right now, they feel that they are in a driver's seat somewhat because they can turn around and say, okay, we made Luis Ortiz our mandatory, and they know that the WBC has also named Luis Ortiz a mandatory title shot against Deontay Wilder. So maybe the WBA says, okay, well, if we lose Anthony Joshua, at least we gain a champion in the winner between Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz. So that could be their way of thinking. It just doesn't seem reasonable that, first of all, the title was vacant. They approved Klitschko to fight for that title because he had had held it for so long, and Tyson Fury had relinquished it, and Anthony Joshua got approval. But they all knew that he got approval for that because Kubapulov and the IBF agreed to wait patiently, and that they were the next one. So what should have changed? Nothing should have changed for the WBA. I don't see why. They claim that they're trying to clean up the interim belt and everything else, but I don't see why in this case, because they already had the plan mapped out. I don't see why they don't let Ortiz and Wilder fight for the interim. And I can't believe I'm even saying this, but for the interim WBA belt, with the winner of that fight conceivably picking up the WBC or retaining the WBC belt, let Wilder and Ortiz fight each other, and the winner fighting the winner of Pulov and Anthony Joshua. And then, bam, you have a champion would emerge that would have every belt, major belt, except for the WBO, which any of these guys we're talking about would beat either Huey Fury, should he land a lucky punch, or Joseph Parker. What do you think first, Sal, and then Dax, you can give me your thoughts.
I'm sorry, my audio went a little blank at that time. I didn't hear the whole thing, so let Dax expand on that first.
Well, there's the joke. How does Bill, you know as well as I do, how do sanctioning bodies make their money?
Sanctioning fees.
Okay, everybody has a little bit of a different structure, but one of the main ways they get their sanctioning fees is depending on how big these purses are. And again, the names make the champions. And also, as we know and have we seen on a regular basis, boxing overseas has been really carrying the sport. You have Huey Fury against Joseph Parker coming up. If Huey Fury should defeat Joseph Parker, now all of a sudden we have two world champions at the heavyweight division inside of England. A fight against Anthony Joshua, who holds the IBF championship, against Huey Fury, the WBO champion. Not only is that huge for the sport, but that's huge in England. And then now, who's going to benefit? The IBF and the WBO. Who's going to lose out? The WBA, who over the last few years, aside from Vladimir Klitschko holding that super title, and Tyson Fury, who never had a chance to actually defend that, he went over here to Anthony Joshua. Now, before Anthony Joshua even gets a chance to defend it, they're going to strip him of it. The other one has laid in limbo for so long. Luis Ortiz hasn't fought at an often enough pace or against a big enough name to bring in any type of big sanctioning money. Deontay Wilder, he's a big name in the States. He draws in the States. It's mostly on PBC. But you know what? That big-time money, like a fight of that magnitude, isn't coming in. So right now, who do we see? The joke is on the WBA, and the joke is on the WBC, and the joke is on everybody else but the IBF and the WBO, so long as that fight gets made. And that would be a huge fight. That would be bigger than Klitschko against Joshua, which was a massive fight, which sold and had views that were beyond what a lot of people in this country realized. That had close to 100 million views worldwide. And now you get something like that inside Cardiff Stadium or someplace else, one of their large venues over there. Not only do they sell out that live gate, but they have the pay-per-view over there on Sky, which is going to go through the roof. And then they have they can probably make that a pay-per-view event here, and they can they'll have the fans from over here. They'll have all the views. They're going to have streaming. It's going to really be something that's massive if that fight happens. So it's going to be the WBA and the WBC shooting themselves in the foot, not the IBF and not the WBO, who's just going to profit from it. And as I said before, the fighter makes the titles, and you know what? All of a sudden, that IBF and that WBO title becomes more important in that division than that WBC and that WBA title.
The truth of the matter is that the heavyweight division, I think the sport needs a unified champion, and I think that there's room for all four of the major sanctioning bodies to play nice and crown a unified champion, and then meet the mandatory obligations one at a time in some kind of an order, and wait until a unified champion either loses or something like that, or something strange comes up where they don't want to fight a mandatory and then strip them. But the timing is what's screwing them up now. You got Pulov against Anthony Joshua, and it's not that Joshua doesn't want to fight Luis Ortiz. It's just that the WBA is not making a time frame that's workable. I just feel that it's beneficial for the four major sanctioning bodies, if at all, one division should be a unified champion. It's got to be the heavyweight division. We just saw it with Terrence Crawford unifying the junior welterweight title with Julius Ndongo, and then yesterday he had to relinquish his belt because they were going to strip him because he didn't. Lipinets doesn't make any sense for Terrence Crawford. I get it. In his case, he was going to move up anyway. But the heavyweight division, different story. I think it's a mistake for the sanctioning bodies to flex their muscle and say that you got to fight this guy. When push comes to shove, the belts have lost their value, and a guy like Anthony Joshua doesn't need it. He's the best heavyweight in the world today. The only person that would disagree with that is probably Deontay Wilder, but nobody's they got to whisper in his ear the truth. But it is what it is. At least that's what I think.
Even if they don't make the fights, by sitting there and saying, "Oh, you have to do this," that's their way of, puffing out their chest. All of a sudden they feel like they're cock of the walk. Now, if the WBA was serious about unifying and cleaning up their titles at heavyweight, you know what? We wouldn't have been sitting around waiting for Frez Kendo and Shannon Briggs. We wouldn't have been sitting around while they played the game with Lucas Brown and Ruslan Shagayev. Shagayev, a guy who was a champion, and then he was sick, and then he couldn't fight in other countries. They could have cleaned that up even once Lucas Brown was cleared that first time. They could have had Lucas Brown against Luis Ortiz. They could have had Shagayev against Luis Ortiz. Instead, they let Luis Ortiz sit out there with this interim title. So they could have cleaned this up a long time ago. They chose not to, but now all of a sudden they want to sit there and put demands on people. The WBA right now is probably the least valued title in any division, in terms of the prestige with, the major sanctioning bodies. So all they're doing is they're making it worse upon themselves. The IBF, their decision with Lucas Brown, and their decision, not Lucas Brown, with Tyson Fury, and now their decision with Terrence Crawford isn't exactly the smartest, but you know what? At least they're not as bad as the WBA or even the WBC with all the interim titles and the super titles and the title on vacation and the title that goes above my mantle and the title that goes on, it's just, you can't even keep up anymore. Really, you make it up as you go along, and I think that's what they do.
Sal, you were raising your hand. Your hand, Sal.
I did 5 minutes ago, but I'll tell you what. Let me rewind. No, I'm teasing. Bill, you made a perfect point. And here's the thing, too. When you have four credible, what's the most credible world sanctioning bodies that we recognize on a daily basis? WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO. Is there another one you want to throw out there?
I like the IBO. I think the IBO is actually better than the WBA. So now you have 5 sanctioning
bodies. You have over 100 belts on the street, everybody claiming themselves that they're a world champion. If I had to share the world title with, let's say, 5 other guys or 4 other guys, I'd look to fight them. I'd like, hey, wait, I'm the world champion. I want to prove that. Let me go fight you, and let's get this unification thing out of the way. I think there should be one champion per weight division. And I think the sanctioning bodies, the credible, real sanctioning bodies that are valid today, should get on the same page and respect the fact that we want to recognize one champion. And I don't know how they could ever do this, because I remember back in the 70s and 80s, 70s when it was just the WBA and WBC, that was an easy task. You had the demand from the fans to say, hey, we want to have a unification. We want to see one world heavyweight champion. Okay, then the IBF snuck in there. And guess what? They still had the triad, but they still had an opportunity to do a little round-robin-ish thing, and they unified that title. But with the other sanctioning bodies in there, I don't know, because you're looking at how much time will have to elapse between fights to knock out 5 sanctioning bodies, to have one champion recognized. That could be a year and a half, 2 years to go by. And then, that's a fighter's peak years of a career. So I don't know how the heck you could unify a championship anymore. I would love to see it, but that's what's hurt boxing. That's what I had to say.
Well, I mean, it's no doubt. I mean, it's greed. But the thing that's hurt the sport of boxing more than anything is greed, and greed from everyone involved. And in a lot of cases, it's not the fighter. It's the promotional company, it's the management, it's the networks. But you said one thing, Sal, that I hope that the fighters of today share. And the desire to unify and to pound your chest and say you're the best because you beat all the rest is something that I really wonder about today. I really wonder if the fighters really want to prove themselves in that manner. That's the question. Do they really want to prove that? You see a guy like Deontay Wilder pounds his chest, says he's the best heavyweight in the world. I truly believe that he believes that. I do. And this is what I do like about Deontay. Unfortunately, in my opinion, he's not that good. There's a lot of holes in his game, and he hasn't been given an opportunity to get better because they keep giving him cupcakes. And here's a guy that, everybody around him, I believe, knows that he's not that good, except for him. What do? Do you keep protecting a guy like that? Do you give him a fight that would risk the title? I think that's why they're willing to take on a big risk fight right now, like Luis Ortiz or even Anthony Joshua. I think that if Luis Ortiz gets labeled the interim champion or they put an interim belt on the line, you'll see Deontay Wilder fight Luis Ortiz, as I suggest, at around the same time as Pulov fights Joshua, with a showdown of the two winners early in 2018. That makes the most financial sense to me. I mean, the only thing that would hinder that is the willingness of the sanctioning bodies to play nice. I mean, Dax, what's your final thoughts on that before we let you go? Do you think that they would be willing to make that happen, or do you think they're going to play hardball, specifically the WBA?
I think they're all going to play hardball. As far as Deontay Wilder, what your comment is, I believe Deontay Wilder wants to fight the best guys available if he was given a chance. But we see Deontay Wilder's career being handled very much the way Adonis Stevenson's championship reign has been handled. When I mentioned Pulev earlier on, I think a lot of the issue with the fighters, much like Pulev, who has been vocal about it, is these promoters are more or less doing the business for their fighters, and they're not really letting their fighters in on there and sitting down and saying, who would you like to fight? Would you like to fight this guy? What about, so-and-so? And, with that, the fighters are saying, okay, and they're getting the promise of, okay, next time you're going to fight this guy. So, you can't really blame the fighters, when you have your promoter and your manager getting everything in the works. And that is an advantage of being a big name. As your stock rises in the sport, as you become a bigger draw, then that gives you a lot of bargaining power on to say, I want this guy at this level, I want this at that level. That's what made Oscar De La Hoya so special. Even though Oscar De La Hoya never really beat that pound-for-pound fighter, is the fact that Oscar De La Hoya, no matter what, because he was the draw and he was always the A-side until the very end of his career, he insisted on fighting nobody but the best. And we just need to see more of those guys. But Oscar De La Hoya, it didn't matter if Oscar De La Hoya was shadowboxing, he was going to draw. But you know what? He was more worried about the legacy. He knew the money was going to come anyway. Now, aside from that, just before I go, the big news here is September. September is going to be the month that, boxing is going to a lot to answer to. There's a lot of big things going on. And with this heavyweight situation taking place, if this cruiserweight tournament with the World Boxing Super Series happens the way it's supposed to be, and it goes off without a hitch from December to March, then all of a sudden the heavyweight division may become irrelevant again, especially with Vladimir Klitschko out of the picture, especially with Anthony Joshua not getting that marquee fight that he needs, and all these sanctioning bodies doing, what they're, playing the games that they're playing. All these other sanctioning bodies, that are involved in the tournament. These titles are being defended, and now we're going to get exposure for these cruiserweights that haven't been in the past. And little by little, what's happening is these TV markets are starting to show up, especially the Super Channel from Canada, which is available here in the United States. And a lot of that tournament is taking place here in the United States. So these guys all got to get it together, not just the sanctioning bodies, but the promoters as well. They all have to work together. Or if not, then you know what? They're going to end up losing more money than they make.
Good point.
Good
Dax,
point.
I appreciate you coming on, and we'll look forward to you next time, my man.
Absolutely. And hey, December 9th, Vasyl Lomachenko against Guillermo Rigondeaux at Madison Square Garden. How exciting is that?
Wow.
Can't wait for that one either. Yeah,
Yo, we should go ringside for that one.
You know,
absolutely.
The beauty is Floyd retires, and then we get all the good fights. So thank you, Floyd. Let's thank Floyd. So, Dax, we'll talk to you soon, my man.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I got some news that I want to talk about, some quotes from Triple G and Canelo. All of that is coming up in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
This is important news for women using birth control medications and devices. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with a pseudotumor after using one of these birth control drugs or devices, you may be eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Contact the law firm of Davis & Crump right now if you or a loved one have used one of these birth control medications or devices and were diagnosed with a pseudotumor to see if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget, if you take the time to write us an email, we'll take the time to read it on air. Just drop us an email, billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. You take the time to write it, we'll take the time to read it. I'm still here with my man Sal, Rocky Senecola. And Sal, I got some, as we start to shift gears and get into the real sport of boxing and real fights, the big fight coming up in a couple of weeks is, of course, Triple G against Canelo Alvarez. And Steve Farhood, he has given an official prediction. He says that Canelo is going to beat Triple G. And he said this. He said, I think the fight is coming along at a really good time. He said Triple G has shown a little bit more vulnerability lately in the Brook and Danny Jacobs fights. Canelo took his time moving up to 160. It won't surprise me if he's the bigger fighter in the ring at the time of the fight, because he does blow up after the weigh-ins. I like his chances. I'm picking him to win in a minor upset. You know, I said this a while ago about the fighters. Triple G is not a big middleweight. When there was talk about, you know, the possibility of Floyd fighting Triple G, I mean, all the Floyd fans, he's so big, Floyd's such a little guy, and the truth of the matter is it's not true. You know, Floyd is just as big as Triple G, and I think when we see Triple G in the ring next to Canelo, although Triple G has got a little bit of height over Canelo, Canelo's the much bigger guy, and we're going to see that on September 16th. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I was surprised, and this is the last time I want to say something. When Mayweather was standing next to McGregor, I couldn't believe how much bigger McGregor was than Mayweather. Size rarely comes into play on some levels when you're fighting a fight like this. I know Triple G, he's a good size middleweight. He's a solid middleweight. He gets down to the weight limit, he's fine. I don't think he blows up too much above that middleweight by the time fight time comes, which is fine because he's light, he's still agile. Some of these fighters that gain 20, 30 pounds or so, or 15, 20 pounds, you know, it may affect their ability to fight that night. Canelo Alvarez, he does blow up. I mean, he steps on a scale, he'll make the weight, and that 24 hours later or 36 hours later until fight time, he can put on some additional pounds that maybe his body is used to working with. You know, Bill, if this fight took place, you and I often say this, if this fight took place a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, wouldn't be a question in my mind. Triple G would just manhandle Canelo Alvarez. Now that the fight is finally taking place right now, I think it's almost a 50-50 fight. I could actually see both fighters coming out winning. And not to contradict myself, I still think Triple G is going to rise to the occasion. And I think Triple G knows what's on the line, and he does want to protect his legacy. And I think he's going to rise to the occasion and break down Canelo over a 10-round period, and then maybe close big. That's how I see it. I think he's got too much of the ring generalship. I think he can punch, and I think his body shots will take place. I think he'll slow Canelo down, and I think it's going to be a great fight. But I could actually see either fighter beating the other. But I'm just pulling for, I guess my heart's into it too. For some reason, I want to see Triple G win this fight.
It is a 50-50 fight. I agree with you. I think that I also agree that I wouldn't have even thought twice about picking a winner of this fight if we were having this discussion a year and a half ago. I would have picked Triple G. I maintain the same thing I say about Canelo. I think Canelo is an exciting fighter. I love Canelo Alvarez. But although he's improved a lot, the one area he has not improved is his ability to land a meaningful, significant punch while he's on the move. And that has been shown to be Triple G's weakness. If you're a decent boxer and you can move and hit on the move, and hit, land a significant punch that would, earn respect from Triple G, you have a chance of beating this guy. Canelo can't do that. Canelo is a textbook guy. He plants his feet and likes to be in front of his opponent before he really lets his hands go with significant punches. Yes, he lands punches on the move, but they're fly, natty type punches. And the truth of the matter is Triple G can cut the ring off better than anybody in the sport of boxing for the last 20 years. And it's going to be interesting to see when they are toe-to-toe who's going to benefit. Canelo can punch. He works the body very well. I'm anticipating him to maybe take advantage. I mean, obviously, we're not the only ones that see this, so maybe he takes advantage of trying to work the body of Triple G, something that fighters haven't done. and maybe he'll, prove to, have a weakness in his belly. But we'll see. I can't wait for the fight. I got one other thing I want to mention before we pack it in for today, is that Roberto Duran, one of the best ever fighters in the history of the sport, was asked about the Triple G and Canelo fight, and he said, when Triple G fought the Gringo, Jacobs, which I found funny, he says he took a lot of punches. Triple G had Jacobs in a bad situation several times, but he didn't know how to finish him off. On the other hand, the Mexican, he's referring to Canelo, is by nature a brave boxer, and when you bring a Mexican fighter to fight, they give everything they have in the ring. This is going to be a very tough fight because the two of them hit hard. In this fight, the one who will survive is the one who is capable of handling each other's punch, and for me, that'll be the one who claims victory. Now,
his words.
It's very aloof.
Very aloof. Very black and white, but very true.
It's true, but he hasn't picked a winner. But he has clearly hit the nail on the head, at least in my opinion. Now, as we finish this week, we only have one more week this week, one more day to finish up this week. We will talk more about Triple G and Canelo on tomorrow's show. We'll also try to open up the phone lines and get your thoughts. We had a lot of interaction going on in our official chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com and also on our simulcast on Facebook Live in there. Some people communicating. So if you want to get your voice heard, tomorrow is going to be the day for you. So be ready for that. We, again, want to thank everybody that came down to our Billy C get-together in St. Simon's Island at the Sea Palms Resort and, of course, Sal's restaurant. We had a blast there, and all the powers that be did a great job. So I want to thank the staff at the Sea Palms and, of course, Sal, you and your staff at your restaurant, because without those guys, we would have never had the successful event that we had. And we are planning another get-together for live filming of our new show, Boxing Revisited, and we hope that you guys can come down for that. Keep your eyes and ears tuned. We will be announcing it over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be sooner than later, which is a good thing. So I'm looking forward to closing out the week tomorrow, even though it's a short week. But we will be back full force next week, Sal, including the holiday Monday. We will be doing a live show, so I'm looking forward to that, my man.
Me too. And Bill, I want to say something, if I can. I want to send out a special thank you, and I know you're going to get these guys on a show, but I'll tell you what, I want to share with everybody how much I truly enjoyed this past weekend. Aside from the fight, I loved having the company of some of our friends who used to hold those belts, and how can I say nothing but thank you so much for coming down and visiting us and interacting with all the fans and all the crowd and my staff and you and I, what we did at the meet and greet for Bobby Ches to be there and talk about his career. Bobby Ches was bigger than life, and so was Marlon Starling. Marlon Starling was fantastic, and of course you can never take it away from Big Ray Mercer. These guys, they came alive. They were animated. They were there. They were engaging. They didn't. Let me tell you something. At any one time, when a fan wanted a picture of one of these guys or all group, boom, they flocked. They said, hey, whatever, you want an autograph, you wanted this, you want that. These guys were stellar, and they loved it, and the fans loved them, and my staff loved them, and I loved them. These guys, I'll tell you, they have an open invitation. In fact, Bill, I forgot to give them the key to the palace. I got a key, the golden lifetime key that we're going to put together next time they come down for the Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria.
Well, I tell you, we all had a great time, and these guys were great. My friend Marlon and Ray Mercer, and of course Bobby Ches, all lent a hand in making it a really fun weekend. And next time, don't miss out, because you guys will love it. But listen, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.